Back at it again with another banger. What is that? We're hunting shit. We're doing a lot of stuff down there. We're hunting.
How are you?
Oh! Fuck that shit. Oh no, I'm not gonna go there. Fuck that. What the fuck?
Welcome to Mindfork. No doubt you've seen Landfall Games' new title, Content Warning, released this April 1st. They made Cluster Truck, totally accurate battlegrounds, etc. The fact that they release a new game every year is not lost on me. They've done so since 2020, I believe. I respect the commitment. You start the game on a floating island in the middle of nowhere. The reasons why remain unknown, but we can guess that it's probably a one-off situation. In the comments, while you're watching America's Scariest Home Videos, people will occasionally say things, comment on your video. Two such being, actually, it's cheap to rent a diving bell, I did it once for my bachelor party, and they must be rich with a diving bell like that. This suggests to me that not only is old world spelunking quite dangerous, as we'll come to understand, but it's actually pretty rare for people to do it. In the same way that some people will go skydiving for their birthdays, what have you, some people will dredge through the pits of hell itself, uncovering all manner of abominations for their bachelor parties. In the old world, there are a litany of different enemies you can encounter, so today we're going to go through and see how many we can exploit for money, and how exactly we can do that. So grab your camera and your flashlight, because we're going deep into the old world archives. Now, because the game is still pretty new, it's kinda hard to find consistent information about it. I stumbled across a few articles that said you could upgrade the camera, one with only 15 monsters, another with 19, all kinds of stuff. So here's a disclaimer. There might be minor inconsistencies in my guide, I've tried my best to weed them out, but it's possible something slid through. Anyway, let's get into it. The aim of the game is to get money, and the whiteboard at the start pretty much sums up the most optimal way to do that. Film something scary. And there are two specific values to consider when filming: visibility and content. Visibility is literally just how much of it you see and how much of the screen it takes up. A monster filmed for 10 seconds is more valuable than one filmed for 3, and one that captures its whole body is better than a passing glance at its foot. As for content, it's pretty straightforward too. The things you film have different levels of value. More aggressive and dangerous monsters make more money. So what does this all mean? What counts as content? Just monsters? Well, surprisingly no. Just filming other players will bag you points, just not a lot. Though theoretically, you could just film people running around, ragdolling, falling, dying, etc., and you'd get a decent amount of points. As for what gets you the most points, the top 3 are the flicker, the big slap when it's been aggroed, we'll talk about that shortly, and the barnacle ball, with the flicker getting you almost double the amount of points as the big slap. But hold on, before you rush out trying to find one, the flicker is basically just one big game over, for literally everyone. Although you can predict where it'll be with flickering lights, it cannot be stunned, it cannot be slowed down, and it cannot be stopped. Even looking at it will absorb your life force over a couple of seconds with red fury. And as well as that, any players who also witness this event are also unable to look away. I don't imagine many people split up in this game, so it'll likely get everyone all at once. The only way to survive it is to not look at it and leave it the hell alone. Although, little difficult given that it's literally invisible right up until it's about to attack you. Luckily, or unluckily, depending on who you ask, the spawn rate is very low, so it's doubtful that you'll encounter it on your first run. Next is Slapjack. Now, when Slapjack hasn't been triggered, filming it gets you half the amount of points, so to really get your film's worth, you gotta piss it off. Though, again, I wouldn't recommend it. Slapjack is larger and faster than you by a large margin, so if he spots you, then you're probably gonna die when it rushes you. You can try to evade it, but again, it's
fast as fuck, boy.
So it probably won't end well, though it does breathe very loudly, so you have a better chance of avoiding it than the flicker. Once it is pissed off, not only is it hard to survive yourself, but it may very well kill everyone nearby. As for the third best moneymaker, that'd be the barnacle. This one's probably your best bet. It has 3 attacks. The first is a standard melee, killing you in a couple hits. The second is a literal tornado that sucks you in close, which is hard to avoid, but if you sprint jump away, you might be able to maintain enough distance before the attack stops. And the third is a spit attack that creates a cloud of noxious gas. As for other monsters, there's also Dark Mode, which will get you a decent amount of points, but the problem is that its body disappears when exposed to light. Now, this is all good and dandy to survive him, but what about the views? If you get too close, the light from the camera will make him vanish, so not ideal for making bank. Though technically, if you're far enough away, it shouldn't matter, so do with that information what you will. The next few all rack up the same, if not very similar points, so we'll quickly go over them and how you can survive taking their pictures. Whisperer is a large quadruped monster with a giant ear for a head and smaller ears all over its body. It's attracted to noise, so keep quiet when you see it, but if you incur its wrath, don't be alarmed, just yell as loud as you can into the mic. The Whisperer can hear you if you're quiet, but really doesn't want to when you're loud, so it'll book it as soon as you start making some noise. The Taxigrade is a jelly monster that looks like a tardigrade and will carry you away. It's extremely fast, much faster than you, so you can only really stall him with as many turns, stairways and elevated areas as you can, though it's not the end of the world if he catches you, since he doesn't do any damage, he just takes you to the next monster, the Star Fisherman. The Star Fisherman is a massive starfish stuck to the ceiling. If you're not looking up, it's very easy to miss, though it will have a steady stream of saliva coming from its mouth, kinda gross. So if you're looking out for it, you'll see it. Get too close though, and it'll hoist you up and slowly dwindle down your health. To get out of the situation, just throw an item at it. Another player usually has to help with this, but I've been told you can do it yourself if you try hard enough. Halloweenies are these monsters that look like they're dressed as ghosts, that run up to you with a knife. Luckily, they're somewhat easy to outrun since your sprinting speed is faster than theirs, and if you avoid them for long enough, they'll get tired and just leave you alone. Bon Voyage is a small monster with bombs strapped all over it. It'll throw one every couple seconds towards you, which can one-shot you depending on how close they get. Now, there's a few, well, quite a few, I guess, that you can only just run from, since distance is your friend. This is one of them. Ant Trap is technically a spider, named as much in the game files, but looks more like an ant to me, so I called it that. Not to mention that spiders don't typically shoot webs from a dozen holes in their face. Oh well, I guess ants don't either, but that's beside the point. These guys will chase you around and shoot webs at you if you get too close. Now there's two sides to this coin. On one hand, the webs that an ant trap does fire will never go away, making it impossible to navigate some areas. You're especially screwed if that area happens to be the closest way out. On the other hand though, webs aren't impossible to escape. Given enough time and energy, sprint jumping notably, you can get out. So this is just another you gotta run from. The Snatcher is a centipede looking monster with large arms. It'll literally just grab you and throw you around. It does a decent amount of damage though. If there's another player nearby, he'll yeet you at them, WWE style. This is yet another that you can only run from, or use a shock stick on. Dog from the Machine is a robot dog with a turret on its back. It's a ranged monster, which is both good and bad for us, since you can always tell when it's around, but actually noticing it means that you're in its line of sight. You can use a shock stick on this one too, if you manage to get close enough, but honestly I'd just book it. Light Mode is a large bipedal monster with eyes all over its body. It's perfectly harmless and won't attack you no matter how close you get to it. Until you shine a light on it, then it'll rush you and hunt you down with extreme prejudice. The camera light will also trigger it, so if you really want to film it, make sure you keep a good distance away. And finally, the Stainless Steel Maiden is a saw trap, weeping angel, Iron Maiden hybrid that will slowly get closer to you so long as you're not looking in its general direction. Even if you break line of sight, but are still facing its general direction, it won't move, but the moment you turn away, it'll slowly teleport closer to you, even through closed doors. Once it's trapped, you have 2 minutes before it closes in and kills you, only able to be freed if another player completes the captcha on the outside. If you're playing solo, then there's nothing you can do. Your run ends there. To give yourself a bit of a fighting chance though, filming a, star fisherman for example, for 10 seconds will bag you the exact same amount as filming a Halloweenie for 10 seconds. That being said, some are easier to avoid than others, so take your pick and choose your battles wisely. And that's all you really need to know. Filming the Screamy Cat, the Whisk and the Snailman, gets you the least amount of points, but they're the most harmless, so if you want to live all 3 days, then I would suggest quitting while you're ahead. Of the 3 of them though, the Snailman gets the least, so if you have to choose between them, go for the Screamy Cat or the Whisk. They're easy to avoid, Screamy Cat won't even attack you, and the Whisk will just charge at you. Easy to duke him out. If this video was helpful, remember me when you're rich and famous. If you like what I do and want to see more, subscribe. Join me for the ride if you fancy, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.